Here's Dakota Livesay with another story from the archives of Chronicle of the Old West.
The subject of today's story went from Chief of Scouts to being arrested, tried, convicted, and sentenced to be hanged almost as fast as it took me to say it.
The story began when, as a young man, a San Carlos Apache came under the tutelage of Chief of Scouts Al Cyber. His skills were such that within a short period of time he became a first sergeant. By now he was known as the Apache Kid. Cyber thought so much of the Apache Kid that in 1887 he left him in charge of the Indian Scouts when he was away. While Cyber was gone, some Apache, including the kid's father, got drunk on Tiswan, the Apache's whiskey. During the party, the kid's father was killed. In accordance with Apache law, the kid killed the man who had killed his father, and he killed another Indian for good measure. When Cyber returned, the kid, along with the other scouts involved, came to turn themselves in. In the process, a scuffle ensued, and Al Cyber was shot in the foot. It took about a month for the kid to be arrested, tried, and sentenced to be killed by a firing squad. General Miles ordered the court to reconsider the sentence. They changed it to life in prison. Seeing he was getting nowhere, General Miles reduced the sentence to 10 years in Alcatraz. The next thing you know, they were released because it was determined their crimes fell under civil rather than military authority. This didn't set well with Al Cyber. He had them arrested and tried again. This time they were sentenced to 7 years at the Yuma Territorial Prison. On November 1, 1889, 10 prisoners were on their way to Yuma. They comprised of the Apache Kid and 3 fellow scouts, 5 other Indians, and a Mexican embezzler. On their way to Yuma, the prisoners jumped the guards, killing 2 and wounding another. Within 4 months, all the escapees were dead except one, the Apache Kid. This is where fact and legend becomes muddy. Supposedly for 5 years, the kid committed some of the worst atrocities ever attributed to man. In reality, many of the crimes credited to him were probably committed by others and attributed to an easy scapegoat, the kid. A $5,000 reward was placed on the kid's head, which incidentally was literal. To collect the reward, the Apache Kid's head had to be presented to the authorities.
But the reward was never collected. It was thought that in 1894 he was wounded and died, but his body was never found. There are those who thought he lived into the 1930s. I'm Dakota Livesay with Chronicle of the Old West.
Thanks, Dakota. For more information, visit fortheoldwest.com.